In a small, run-down apartment on the outskirts of Chicago, life wasn't easy for Maya and her 5-year-old daughter, Lila. Maya worked tirelessly as a maid at an upscale hotel downtown, cleaning rooms and tidying up after wealthy guests who barely noticed her presence. Every day was a struggle, balancing 2 jobs to pay rent, keep food on the table, and still find time to be there for Lila. Despite their hardships, Maya never let bitterness take root in her heart. Instead, she poured all her energy into making sure Lila had what she needed most: love, care, and a sense that life could be better if they worked hard enough. Maya often told Lila bedtime stories about people who started with nothing but went on to achieve incredible things. "We're not stuck here forever," she'd say gently, brushing her daughter's hair. "One day we'll have a house with a big backyard where you can play without worrying about noise complaints." Lila would giggle, imagining herself running around freely, while Maya silently prayed that her words wouldn't turn out to be empty promises. But the truth was, Maya felt trapped. No matter how many extra hours she worked or how much she scrimped and saved, it never seemed like enough. There were nights when she sat alone in the dim light of the kitchen, staring at unpaid bills scattered across the table. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders, and sometimes tears rolled down her cheeks. Still, she wiped them away before Lila woke up, because crying wasn't going to solve anything. What kept her going was the dream of giving Lila a brighter future, a future filled with opportunities Maya never had. One morning, as Maya cleaned one of the penthouse suites at the hotel, something unusual happened. She overheard a conversation between the hotel owner, a billionaire philanthropist, and his business partner. They were discussing plans to launch a scholarship program aimed at helping underprivileged individuals get an education. At first, Maya thought it sounded too good to be true. A scholarship for someone like her? It felt impossible, almost laughable. But then again, what did she have to lose? That night, after tucking Lila into bed, Maya pulled out her laptop and began researching the scholarship. Her heart raced as she read through the requirements. Academic excellence? Check. Community involvement? She volunteered at a local shelter whenever she could spare the time. Leadership potential? Well, raising a child on her own while working. 2 jobs certainly counted for something. The more she read, the more determined she became. Maybe, just maybe, this was her chance to break free from the cycle of poverty that had held her family captive for generations. Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into preparing her application. She enrolled in night classes at a nearby community college, determined to improve her grades and prove she was serious about learning. Balancing schoolwork with her demanding job wasn't easy, but Maya refused to give up. Her professors noticed her dedication and encouraged her to apply, offering letters of recommendation to strengthen her case. With each passing day, Maya grew more confident, not because she believed winning the scholarship was guaranteed, but because she knew she was doing everything in her power to try. Finally, the day came when Maya submitted her application. She included heartfelt essays detailing her struggles, dreams, and unwavering commitment to building a better life for herself and Lila. As she clicked the submit button, a mix of emotions washed over her: hope, fear, excitement, and doubt. Would anyone even notice her application among hundreds of others? Or would it end up lost in some forgotten folder, never to be seen again? Weeks passed, and Maya tried not to think about it too much. Life went on as usual, cleaning hotel rooms, studying late into the night, and playing with Lila during rare moments of downtime. Then, one afternoon, as she was mopping the floor of a guest room, her phone buzzed. It was an email notification. Her hands trembled as she opened it, scanning the words quickly. Her heart skipped a beat. She had been invited for an interview. Standing in the middle of the hotel hallway, surrounded by carts and cleaning supplies, Maya couldn't help but smile. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that change might actually be possible. This wasn't just about escaping poverty. It was about proving to herself, and to Lila, that no matter how tough things got, they could rise above it all. And so, with renewed determination, Maya prepared for the biggest opportunity of her life: knowing full well that this could be the turning point she had been waiting for. The day of the interview arrived, and Maya woke up before sunrise, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. She had spent hours preparing, reading about the scholarship program, practicing answers to potential questions, and even rehearsing how she would introduce herself. But no amount of preparation could calm the butterflies fluttering in her stomach. This wasn't just any interview, it was a chance to change her life and Lila's future forever. As she stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her best outfit, aka modest but neatly pressed dress she had saved up for months to buy, Maya whispered words of encouragement to herself. "You've got this," she said softly, trying to steady her nerves. "You've worked too hard to let fear stop you now." Lila, still half asleep in her bed, mumbled something that sounded like, "Good luck, Mama," making Maya smile despite her anxiety. With one last deep breath, she grabbed her bag and headed out the door. The address on the invitation led her to a towering skyscraper in the heart of downtown, its glass facade gleaming under the morning sun. Maya felt out of place as she stepped into the sleek lobby, surrounded by people dressed in expensive suits and carrying leather briefcases. The receptionist directed her to the 45th floor, where the billionaire philanthropist who funded the scholarship awaited. As the elevator climbed higher, Maya's heartbeat quickened. What if they realized she didn't belong here? What if they saw through her carefully crafted application and deemed her unworthy? When the doors opened, she was greeted by an assistant who guided her to a spacious office overlooking the city skyline. The view was breathtaking, but Maya barely noticed. Her focus was entirely on the man seated behind a polished wooden desk, the same man she had seen only from afar during her days cleaning hotel rooms. Up close, he looked different than she expected. His expression wasn't cold or distant. Instead, his eyes held a warmth that put her slightly at ease. "Thank you for coming," he said, gesturing for her to sit. Maya nodded, clutching her bag tightly in her lap. For a moment, silence filled the room as she gathered her thoughts. Then, taking a deep breath, she began to speak. She told him about her life, how she grew up in a neighborhood where opportunities were scarce, how she became a single mother at a young age, and how she juggled multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. Her voice trembled at times, but she refused to let tears fall. This was her story, raw and honest, and she wanted him to understand the weight of her journey. But Maya didn't stop there. She talked about her dreams, not just for herself, but for Lila and others like them. She shared her vision of creating a better world, one where people weren't defined by their circumstances but by their potential. She spoke passionately about the importance of education and how it could break cycles of poverty. The billionaire listened intently, nodding occasionally and asking thoughtful questions that showed he genuinely cared. At one point, he leaned forward and asked, "Why do you think you deserve this scholarship?" Maya hesitated, unsure how to answer without sounding arrogant. Finally, she replied, "I don't know if I deserve it more than anyone else, but I can promise you this. I will work harder than anyone to make the most of it. And when I succeed, I won't forget where I came from. I'll find a way to give back." Her words lingered in the air, and for a brief moment the room fell silent. Then, the billionaire smiled, a genuine approving smile, and said, "That's exactly what I wanted to hear." He went on to explain that the scholarship wasn't just about academic achievement. It was about finding individuals with grit, determination, and a desire to uplift others. Maya fit the bill perfectly. By the end of the meeting, Maya felt a glimmer of hope she hadn't felt in years. As she left the office, the billionaire handed her a folder containing details about the scholarship. It covered everything: tuition, books, housing, and even childcare support so she could focus on her studies. Maya clutched the folder tightly, her hands shaking with emotion. She couldn't believe it. After years of struggling to make ends meet, someone had finally given her a lifeline. Walking back to the bus stop, Maya allowed herself a rare moment of joy. She thought about Lila and how proud her daughter would be when she heard the news. She imagined sitting in a classroom, surrounded by students eager to learn, and the sense of accomplishment she would feel after completing her degree. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't seem so bleak. In fact, it felt full of possibilities. That evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table with Lila, explaining what had happened. Lila's eyes widened with excitement as she listened to her mother's story. "Does this mean we're going to move to a bigger house soon?" she asked innocently. Maya chuckled, ruffling her daughter's hair. "Not right away," she replied. "But it means we're taking the first step toward a better life, and who knows, maybe one day we'll have that backyard you've always dreamed of." As they sat together, sharing laughter and dreams, Maya realized something important. This scholarship wasn't just about her, it was about Lila too. It was about showing her daughter that no matter how tough life got, there was always a way forward if you refused to give up. It was about proving that hard work and perseverance could open doors you never thought possible, and it was about planting seeds of hope that would grow into something beautiful in the years to come. Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into preparing for her new chapter. She enrolled in night classes to brush up on subjects she hadn't studied in years. She reached out to professors and advisors, seeking guidance on navigating college life while balancing responsibilities at home. She even started saving small portions of her earnings to cover unexpected expenses, knowing that every little bit helped. Through it all, Maya remained grounded, reminding herself why she was doing this. It wasn't just for a degree or a better job. It was for the chance to rewrite her family's story. Each late-night study session, each sacrifice, and each challenge overcome brought her closer to that goal. And though the road ahead promised to be difficult, Maya faced it with courage and determination, knowing that she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for Lila, for their future, and for everyone who doubted they could rise above their circumstances. Little did Maya know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would take her farther than she ever imagined. With the scholarship secured, Maya's life began to change in ways she could have never imagined. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of relief. A weight lifted off her shoulders that allowed her to breathe freely. The financial burden that had once loomed over every decision was gone, replaced by an opportunity to focus on what truly mattered: her education and her daughter's future. But as exciting as this new chapter was, it didn't come without its challenges. Maya enrolled in a local university, majoring in social entrepreneurship, a field she chose because it aligned perfectly with her dream of helping others. From day one, she threw herself into her studies with the same determination that had carried her through years of working multiple jobs. She attended classes during the day, studied late into the night, and still made time to pick Lila up from school and help her with homework. Her schedule was grueling, but Maya refused to let anything stand in her way. Every early morning wake-up call, every late-night cram session, and every moment of exhaustion was worth it, because she knew she was building something bigger than herself. Her professors quickly noticed her dedication and work ethic. They admired how she asked thoughtful questions in class, contributed meaningful insights during discussions, and always turned in assignments ahead of deadlines. One professor even pulled her aside after class one day to say, "You're going places, Maya. Don't ever lose sight of that." Those words stuck with her, fueling her drive even when self-doubt crept in. But not everything was smooth sailing. Balancing schoolwork with parenting was harder than Maya anticipated. There were days when Lila needed extra attention, like when she came home upset because kids at school teased her about their small apartment, or when she struggled with math, problems Maya barely remembered learning herself. On those days, Maya wondered if she was asking too much of her young daughter. Was it fair to expect Lila to grow up so fast, to shoulder responsibilities beyond her years? Guilt gnawed at her, but Lila's resilience surprised her. "I'm proud of you, Mama," Lila would say whenever Maya tucked her into bed. "You're doing great." Maya also faced moments of doubt within herself. Sitting in lecture halls, surrounded by classmates who seemed so confident and well-prepared, she sometimes questioned whether she belonged there. Many of her peers came from backgrounds vastly different from hers. They had grown up with access to resources and opportunities Maya could only dream of. Some of them spoke casually about internships abroad or networking events hosted by influential figures, topics Maya knew little about. At times, she felt like an outsider looking in, wondering if she'd ever catch up. But instead of letting these feelings overwhelm her, Maya leaned on the lessons she had learned throughout her life. Hardship had taught her to adapt, to find strength in vulnerability, and to persevere even when the odds felt stacked against her. She reminded herself why she was here, not just for herself but for everyone back in her neighborhood who believed they didn't stand a chance. If she succeeded, maybe they'd see that success wasn't reserved for the privileged few. It was possible for anyone willing to fight for it. One of the most transformative aspects of Maya's journey was the mentorship program included in the scholarship. Through this program, she was paired with the billionaire philanthropist who had awarded her the scholarship. At first, Maya was intimidated by the idea of meeting with him regularly. After all, he was a man whose name appeared in headlines and whose wealth seemed unimaginable. But as they began meeting, she realized he wasn't the intimidating figure she had pictured. He listened intently to her concerns, shared stories of his own struggles, and offered practical advice that helped her navigate both personal and professional challenges. Their conversations often revolved around resilience, the kind Maya already possessed but hadn't fully recognized in herself. "You've been fighting battles your whole life," he told her during one meeting. "College is just another battle, and I know you'll win it." His belief in her gave Maya the confidence to push through tough moments, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this journey. As the months passed, Maya started to notice subtle changes in herself. She became more assertive, speaking up in class and taking leadership roles in group projects. She joined clubs and organizations focused on community service, finding joy in giving back even as she worked toward her degree. These experiences not only enriched her education, but also deepened her understanding of the impact she wanted to make in the world. Lila, too, began to thrive under the stability Maya's scholarship provided. With childcare support included in the program, Maya no longer had to worry about leaving Lila unsupervised while she attended classes. Instead, Lila spent her afternoons at a safe, nurturing daycare center, where she made friends and discovered new interests. Watching her daughter flourish filled Maya with pride and reinforced her belief that this sacrifice was worth every ounce of effort. By the end of her first year, Maya's hard work began to pay off. She earned top grades in nearly all her classes, earning recognition on the dean's list. More importantly, she gained a clearer vision of what she wanted to do with her degree. Inspired by her own struggles and the challenges faced by people in her community, Maya decided to focus on creating programs that would empower low-income families. She envisioned scholarships, mentorship initiatives, and workshops designed to equip individuals with the tools they needed to break free from cycles of poverty. During summer break, Maya returned to her old job at the hotel, not out of necessity, but out of gratitude. She wanted to stay connected to her roots, to remind herself of how far she had come and to inspire others who might be doubting their own potential. As she cleaned rooms and interacted with co-workers, she found herself sharing bits of her story. "If I can do it," she told them, "so can you. You just have to believe in yourself and take that first step." Her words resonated with many of her colleagues, especially a young woman named Tanya, who worked part-time as a housekeeper while raising 2 children on her own. Like Maya, Tanya dreamed of pursuing an education, but feared it was impossible, given her circumstances. Seeing Maya's transformation gave her hope, and she began asking questions about how to apply for scholarships and balance work with school. Maya encouraged her every step of the way, offering guidance and support whenever she could. As Maya looked around at the familiar faces of her co-workers, she realized something profound. Her journey wasn't just about personal achievement, it was about inspiring others to chase their dreams too. Each person she encountered had a story, a struggle, and a spark of potential waiting to be ignited. And though Maya couldn't solve everyone's problems, she could plant seeds of possibility by showing them that change was within reach. By the time her second year of college rolled around, Maya was no longer the uncertain woman who had walked into that interview room 2 years prior. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, knowing she had earned her place among her peers. Challenges still arose. There were sleepless nights, moments of frustration, and occasional setbacks. But Maya tackled each one with resilience and grace. She had learned to embrace the journey, trusting that every obstacle was shaping her into the person she was meant to become. And as she stood on the cusp of graduation, preparing to walk across the stage and accept her diploma, Maya reflected on how far she had come. This wasn't just her victory. It was a triumph for everyone who had doubted themselves, for everyone who had been told they weren't good enough, and for everyone who refused to give up despite the odds. Maya's story was proof that with determination, support, and a willingness to fight for your dreams, anything was possible. Little did she know this was only the beginning of a legacy she would build, one that would touch countless lives and leave an indelible mark on the world. Graduation day finally arrived, and Maya woke up before sunrise, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and disbelief. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, imagined it in quiet moments while cleaning hotel rooms, during late night study sessions, and even as she tucked Lila into bed. But now that it was here, it felt surreal, almost too good to be true. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her cap and gown, trying to steady her trembling hands. Her reflection showed a woman who had been through so much but still carried hope in her eyes. This wasn't just a personal milestone. It was proof that no matter how tough life got, there was always a way forward if you refused to give up. Lila, now a bright-eyed teenager, bounced around the apartment, buzzing with energy. She had picked out her outfit weeks ago, a colorful dress she insisted matched the occasion perfectly. "You're gonna look amazing, Mama," Lila said, hugging her tightly. Maya smiled, feeling a lump rise in her throat. All those years of sacrifice, all those nights when she wondered if she was doing enough, suddenly seemed worth it. Seeing the pride in her daughter's eyes made every struggle worthwhile. The ceremony took place at a large auditorium filled with graduates, families, and friends. As Maya walked down the aisle alongside her classmates, she couldn't help but glance at the sea of faces in the audience. There was Lila, sitting proudly in the front row, clapping louder than anyone else. Behind her sat some of Maya's co-workers from the hotel, including Tanya, the young housekeeper who had started taking steps toward her own education after being inspired by Maya's journey. Even the billionaire philanthropist who had awarded her the scholarship was there, smiling warmly as their eyes met. For a brief moment, Maya felt overwhelmed by the love and support surrounding her. These weren't just spectators. They were witnesses to her resilience, her hard work, and her unwavering determination. When it was time for speeches, Maya's name was called to deliver the valedictorian address. Her knees felt weak as she stepped onto the stage, the spotlight shining brightly on her. The microphone seemed enormous in her hands, and for a second she froze, staring out at the crowd. Then she saw Lila waving enthusiastically, and the nervousness melted away. Taking a deep breath, Maya began to speak. "I stand here today not because I am extraordinary," she started, her voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside, "person, but because I am proof that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Growing up, I never imagined I'd be standing on a stage like this. My life was defined by struggle, working multiple jobs, raising a child alone, and wondering if I'd ever escape the cycle of poverty that trapped my family for generations." She paused, letting her words sink in. The room was silent except for the occasional sniffle from the audience. Maya continued, her tone growing stronger. "But somewhere along the way, I realized something important. Success isn't about where you start. It's about the choices you make and the people who believe in you. This scholarship didn't just give me an education. It gave me hope. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, that there are people willing to invest in dreams like mine." Maya went on to thank everyone who had supported her, the professors who challenged her to think bigger, the mentors who guided her through tough decisions, and the friends who cheered her on when self-doubt crept in. She spoke about Lila, calling her the reason she kept going even on the hardest days. "Every time I wanted to quit," she said, her voice breaking slightly, "I thought about the kind of example I wanted to set for my daughter. I wanted her to know that no matter what life throws at you, you have the power to rise above it." Then, Turning her attention to the audience, Maya delivered the message she had rehearsed countless times in her mind. "This degree isn't just for me," she declared. "It's for everyone who has ever doubted themselves, for everyone who has been told they don't belong, and for everyone fighting to create a better future for their loved ones. Today I want to remind you that your story doesn't end with your circumstances. You have the power to rewrite it." The room erupted into applause, the sound echoing off the walls as tears streamed down Maya's face. She waved to the audience, her heart swelling with gratitude. When she returned to her seat, Lila rushed over to hug her tightly. "That was the best speech ever, Mama," she whispered, beaming with pride. Maya hugged her back, feeling a sense of fulfillment she hadn't experienced before. This wasn't just a celebration of academic achievement. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. After the ceremony, guests gathered outside for photos and conversations. Maya found herself surrounded by well-wishers, professors congratulating her on her accomplishments, fellow graduates sharing stories of their own journeys, and strangers thanking her for inspiring them with her speech. One woman approached her, tears in her eyes, and said, "Your words touched me deeply. I've been stuck in a job I hate for years, afraid to chase my dreams. But hearing you today made me realize I owe it to myself to try." Maya smiled, offering words of encouragement. "If I can do it, so can you," she replied. "Start small, stay focused, and don't let fear stop you." As the day wound down, Maya found herself standing with the billionaire philanthropist who had played such a pivotal role in her journey. He shook her hand warmly, his expression filled with admiration. "You've come a long way," he said. "But this is just the beginning. What will you do next?" Maya hesitated, considering the question. She had spent years focusing on her education, but now she faced a new challenge: using her degree to make a real difference in the world. Her answer came quickly, fueled by the passion that had driven her throughout her journey. "I'm going to build something that helps others like me," she said confidently. "A program that gives people the tools and resources they need to succeed. Education changed my life, and I want to pass that gift on to others." The philanthropist nodded approvingly. "I have no doubt you'll succeed," he said. "And remember, you'll always have allies cheering you on." His words stayed with Maya long after the event ended, reinforcing her belief that she wasn't alone in this mission. That evening, as Maya sat at home reflecting on the day's events, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Graduating wasn't the finish line, it was the starting point of a lifelong commitment to giving back. She thought about the struggles she had faced, the sacrifices she had made, and the people who had believed in her when she doubted herself. Now it was her turn to be that source of hope for others. Maya looked over at Lila, who was flipping through the photo album they had created together to document their journey. "Do you think we'll inspire other kids like us?" Lila asked, innocently. Maya smiled, pulling her daughter close. "I think we already are," she replied. "And one day when you're older, maybe you'll carry this torch forward too." As the night grew quieter, Maya allowed herself to dream about the future. She envisioned a community center where children could learn and grow without worrying about their circumstances. She pictured scholarships helping single parents return to school, mentorship programs guiding teenagers toward brighter futures, and workshops teaching skills that would open doors for those who thought they were closed forever. Each idea sparked excitement within her, fueling her determination to turn these dreams into reality. By the time she turned off the lights and climbed into bed, Maya knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning. Her journey had taught her that success wasn't measured by titles or accolades. It was defined by the impact you left on the world. And Maya was ready to leave a legacy that would inspire generations to come. After graduation, Maya didn't waste any time. She knew exactly what she wanted to do next: create a program that would help people like her, people who had been overlooked by society but were bursting with potential. Her vision was clear: to provide scholarships, mentorship, and resources to low-income families so they could break free from the chains of poverty. It wasn't just about giving handouts. It was about empowering people to take control of their lives and build brighter futures for themselves and their loved ones. The first step was turning her idea into reality. Maya spent weeks drafting plans, researching similar programs, and reaching out to organizations that aligned with her mission. She pored over books on nonprofit management, attended workshops, and even consulted with professors who had guided her during college. Every detail mattered, from creating a name that reflected her values to designing programs tailored to meet the specific needs of underserved communities. After countless late nights and endless cups of coffee, Maya officially launched Pathways to Empowerment, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting marginalized individuals through education and opportunity. At its core, Pathways to Empowerment focused on three key areas: scholarships for students pursuing higher education, job training programs for adults seeking better employment opportunities, and mentorship initiatives connecting young people with role models who understood their struggles. Maya wanted the organization to feel personal, relatable, and accessible, something that reminded participants they weren't alone in their journey. To achieve this, she made sure every aspect of the program was rooted in empathy and authenticity. 1. Of the biggest challenges Maya faced early on was funding. While her scholarship had covered her tuition and expenses, starting a nonprofit required significant financial backing. Determined not to let lack of resources stand in her way, Maya reached out to local businesses, community leaders, and philanthropic groups for support. She shared her story openly, explaining how education had transformed her life and why investing in others could yield similar results. Slowly but surely, donations began trickling in. Some were small contributions from friends and family, while others came from larger donors impressed by Maya's passion and vision. Each dollar brought her closer to making her dream a reality. As Pathways to Empowerment grew, so did Maya's reputation. Word spread quickly about the woman who had risen from cleaning hotel rooms to founding a nonprofit aimed at changing lives. Local newspapers featured her story. Radio hosts invited her for interviews, and social media buzzed with praise for her efforts. But despite the growing attention, Maya remained humble. "This isn't about me," she often said during interviews. "It's about the people we're helping. The single mothers working 2 jobs, the teenagers dreaming of college, the grandparents raising grandchildren. Their stories are what matter." To ensure the program stayed grounded, Maya frequently visited neighborhoods where many participants lived. She walked the streets, talked to residents, and listened to their concerns. These interactions reinforced her belief that true change came from understanding, not just throwing money at problems. One day, while speaking with a group of women outside a community center, Maya met a young mother named Tanya. They had crossed paths before at the hotel where Maya used to work, but now Tanya stood in front of her as a participant in the Pathways to Empowerment program. With tears in her eyes, Tanya thanked Maya for believing in her when no one else did. "You showed me I could do more than survive," Tanya said. "Now I'm learning skills that will let me thrive." Stories like Tanya's became the heartbeat of Pathways to Empowerment. Success wasn't measured in numbers or statistics. It was seen in the smiles of children attending tutoring sessions, the confidence of adults completing job training courses, and the pride of parents watching their kids graduate high school. Maya celebrated each milestone as if it were her own because, in a way, it was. Every success story validated her belief that everyone deserved a chance to succeed, regardless of where they started. But Maya's work didn't stop there. As Pathways to Empowerment gained momentum, she realized she needed to expand its reach beyond her hometown. Inspired by the impact she had witnessed locally, Maya began exploring ways to bring the program to other cities and states. She partnered with schools, community centers, and advocacy groups across the country, sharing her model and encouraging them to adapt it to fit their unique needs. The response was overwhelming. People everywhere recognized the value of Maya's approach and eagerly embraced her vision. Through it all, Lila remained Maya's constant source of inspiration. Now a teenager, Lila watched her mother transform from a struggling maid into a changemaker admired by thousands. She saw firsthand how hard work, determination, and kindness could ripple outward, touching lives far beyond their immediate circle. Lila often helped out at Pathways events, volunteering her time to tutor younger kids and assist with administrative tasks. Watching her daughter grow into a compassionate, driven young woman filled Maya with immense pride. "You're part of this too," Maya told Lila one evening as they cleaned up after a community event. "Everything I've done is for you, and for everyone else who deserves a fair shot at life." Despite her successes, Maya never forgot where she came from. She continued returning to the hotel where she once worked, not to boast about her achievements but to remind her former co-workers that dreams were within reach. During these visits, she offered advice, shared resources, and encouraged anyone interested in pursuing education or career advancement to apply for Pathways to Empowerment programs. Many took her up on the offer, inspired by her example. One housekeeper, a middle-aged man named Robert, enrolled in the job training program and eventually landed a position as a maintenance supervisor, a role he never thought possible. "You changed my life," he told Maya during a reunion event. "Thank you for showing me I'm capable of more than I believed." As years passed, Pathways to Empowerment became synonymous with hope and resilience. Thousands of individuals benefited from its programs, breaking cycles of poverty and building brighter futures for themselves and their families. Maya traveled extensively, speaking at conferences, leading workshops, and advocating for systemic changes that addressed inequality. Yet, despite her growing influence, she remained deeply connected to the people she served. Whether shaking hands at a gala or sitting cross-legged on a living room floor, listening to someone's struggles, Maya treated everyone with dignity and respect. Her ability to connect with others stemmed from her authenticity. Maya didn't pretend to have all the answers or claim to be perfect. Instead, she embraced her imperfections, using them to relate to those around her. She openly shared her fears, failures, and doubts, reminding people that setbacks were part of the journey. "I've fallen down more times than I can count," she once told a group of high school students. "But each time I got back up. And so will you. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." By the 5th anniversary of Pathways to Empowerment, the organization had grown exponentially, impacting lives nationwide. At a celebratory gala held to honor the milestone, Maya stood before a packed room of supporters, beneficiaries, and volunteers. Speakers praised her leadership, calling her a beacon of hope and a catalyst for change. When it was her turn to speak, Maya took the stage, visibly moved by the love and admiration surrounding her. "I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this journey," she began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "When I started Pathways to Empowerment, I never imagined it would grow into what it is today. But looking around this room, I realize something important. None of this would have been possible without you. You, the teachers, mentors, donors, volunteers, and most importantly, the participants, are the reason we're here tonight. Together we've proven that change is possible when we come together and lift each other up." Maya paused, scanning the crowd. Her eyes landed on Lila, who sat proudly in the front row, clapping enthusiastically. She spotted Tanya, Robert, and countless others whose lives had been transformed by the program. Tears welled up in her eyes as she continued. "This isn't my victory. It's ours. And it's proof that no matter where you start, you have the power to rewrite your story. So keep dreaming, keep fighting, and keep believing in yourself, because the world needs more people like you." The room erupted into applause, the sound echoing off the walls as Maya stepped away from the podium. That night, as she hugged strangers turned friends and posed for photos, Maya felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This wasn't just a celebration of 5 years of hard work. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Through Pathways to Empowerment, Maya had created a movement, a force for good that would continue long after she was gone. As the evening drew to a close, Maya found herself reflecting on how far she had come. From scrubbing floors in a hotel to standing on stages addressing thousands, her journey had been anything but ordinary. But what truly amazed her was how much she had learned along the way. She had discovered the power of resilience, the importance of community, and the beauty of giving back. Most importantly, she had realized that success wasn't defined by wealth or fame.